So welcome everyone joining live as well as the our treasured asynchronous audience where we're thinking about
hmm
you, even though you're not with us at the same time. We understand. Oh, we've got a screen share. Oh, I don't know that we went. So yeah, do we want, I have a couple science slides as I told Laurel and Heidi as just kind of seeds in your head, but most of my science will be done a little later. Do we want to introduce ourselves?
Sure, go ahead, Julie. Go ahead.
Well, I'm Julie, and I'm a neuroscientist and mindfulness instructor.
Great, great. Yes, I'm Laurel Falconberry, and I'm an outpatient therapist at Chestnut Ridge and a mindfulness instructor as well. And Heidi?
Hi everyone, I'm Heidi Sherwin and I'm a yoga and mindfulness educator in the Morgantown community.
Awesome. So we've got a lot. This is again, as I mentioned to the few people, that joined kind of early, this is one of my favorite topics. It's been really useful to me. And part of it is the self-compassion that comes from understanding how your brain works, that you're really going upstream when you're changing habits. And also your brain is trying to help you out. And that is why habits are so difficult to change as they get kind of locked in. So we're going to give some strategies through mindfulness, through yoga to help you hack your brain's reward system. And it's almost as if our habits are like, you have all these things, these sequence of behaviors and thoughts that you do to say, make a cup of coffee, right? And when that is changed, it's kind of locked in a little box. We don't have to think, what do I have to do to make the coffee? Because we go through the motions. This morning, I went through the motions and a clear liquid came out of my coffee machine. And I tried 9 to 10 times to get coffee to come out of the machine because I wanted that habit sequence to work. My brain was telling me this is the best way to make coffee. This is the most efficient way to make coffee. And we're going to learn more. You're going to be at the edge of your seats. How did Julie solve the coffee problem? But really, the key to it is getting in that learning mode, becoming a little curious, having that flexibility, and mindfulness and yoga practices can really help you get at the controls so that you can adapt and learn new ways of doing things. And a lot of the process of being with your own mind, holding some of the yoga postures, you feel a little uncomfortable at times and you get a little curious about those sensations rather than just that, recoil, that instant recoil. Mindfulness is really helpful and you can be really proud of yourself, proud of your little wins. So that's what some of the science that's going to come a little bit later in the talk is why those things matter. So let's get into
Wonderful. Julie, you said all of that so quickly. What she just said is a lot, folks. It's a lot.
I'll go through it slower later.
Good, 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 good.
It's a
Because
seed. It's a seed.
it's a seed. She wanted to plant a seed. So, from a therapeutic point of view, habits have purpose, they have meaning. All habits have meaning and have purpose. So, whatever the habit is, it started off well intentioned. It was looking out for yourself. It was well intentioned. And so, giving yourself that compassion and kindness, right? It was well intentioned. I started off this habit, whatever the habit was, honestly, smoking. You started it with good intentions. Well, yeah, I needed it. On some level, you felt you needed it. So bringing some kindness and compassion, like it's okay. I understand why I started that. Or it was just out of like everyone else is doing it. Oh, that looks fun. Smoking, you know, typically when you're younger. And then it's one of the hardest habits to break. So that mindfulness, and I'm going to do an exercise with you after we do some yoga called the sober breathing breath. It's stop, observe, breathe, expand, and then respond. So I'm coming back and back again and again to kindness and compassion. So all of your habits have purpose and meaning. So like a habit that I've slowly have been breaking is watching the news. I loved government in school. I loved political science. Um, So I like to know what's going on because it gives me a sense of control, of course, right? So I have to baby steps myself away. Like, let's go read a book. How about you get your favorite kombucha and let's go read a book just a little bit. We can do it. Increments away from the news. And then I say pat yourself on the back, and I literally mean it. Like, pat yourself on the back for these little increments. Like, if you're smoking and you're going to say, I'm going to go to using the patch, or before the patch, I'm going to go to using Zins, these nicotine pouches you put in your mouth, and then from there to the patch. These steps, gradual increments.
Your
So we
brain
have,
needs it.
Julie, yes, tell me, come in.
Your brain, your reward system needs that ding in order to say, oh, this is important and this feels good too. Yeah.
Good, good. So what I'm saying has science behind it. Julie, keep interrupting. That's good. Because we all need validation. Like, oh, yeah, science says that. Well, then heck, I can do that. I can do compassion. Oh, compassion's sometimes tough, right? Because we are more tend to pick up the stick. Like, oh, me bad. Or why are you doing that, you stupid? No, come on. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Put down the stick, take some deep breaths, and we're going to go through this exercise of mindfulness of, do I have to be mean to myself? Would I be mean to you, my dear friend, like I do to me? Would I do that to you? And of course it's like, no, I wouldn't. Well then, okay, what's going on? What am I noticing? Let's give a name to the feeling. Naming feelings has been proven to de-escalate your emotions, to regulate your emotions. Like, oh, I'm feeling this and this. And of course I am. This is really hard. It's really hard to change this habit. And of course I am. So validating it, giving a word to the feeling, and knowing that we can ride the emotions, we can ride the waves of feelings and come back to, hey, I'm okay. Wow, that was really scary. Because it can be really scary to change a behavior. Julie, do you have some brain science, some brain stuff to help us with fear?
Well, I'll talk more, but if you can activate that feel good feeling at you might move between feel good fear and a little bit of pride of, here I am walking through it. This takes bravery. Good job. Positive self-talk has a lot of science behind it.
Yeah, great, good. And then so in mindfulness, we're focusing on acceptance of feelings, acceptance of this is hard, plain and simple. This is hard. And I'm doing my best here. And I'm going to join a support group, and I'm going to maybe get an app that helps support it. I'm going to do these things that in groups it helps. There's been proof of that if you can get on a group in an app or a live group or a Zoom group, that support is really, really beneficial. So I'm going to talk more a little bit later. So now we're going to move on to yoga movement, embodying ourselves and riding the waves of emotions that become intense with yoga and breath work. Heidi?
Thank you so much, Laurel. And let's see. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Good. Okay, great. Yeah, I had to click my microphone. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the thumbs up. All right. So yes, we're going to do some movement. And then later, after Laurel goes through the S.O.B.E.R, I am going to guide you through a mindful breathing practice. So Laurel will guide you into mindful S.O.B.E.R, which incorporates breathing. And then I'm going to lead you into another breathing practice, kind of help layer that in. But for the movement today, exactly what Laurel and Julie have been saying, we're going to do some movement, accessible movement, standing, exploring a few postures, gradually starting where we are and then adding from there. Because I find in my own habit journey, when I am kind of going from, I was talking about this with Julie and Laurel the other day, that, as we're noticing that we want to release something or add something, the opposite becomes true as well. So if I want to start creating a habit of walking every day after dinner, that means I also have to release my urge to want to go sit down on the couch for 10 minutes right after eating dinner, right? It's like, but there's no judge. It's just like, I would like to start walking after dinner. And so then I have to reduce the urge to sit on the couch, right? And so there's this give and take. And so we get to explore that in movement, and you're really offering how your movement practice is in the zone of exploring, curiosity, play, how in the physical experience we can start to embody and explore kind of sometimes the harder stuff, right? That we're working on, like, yes, I want to walk. Yes, I want to, stop smoking or reduce. At first, it's just let me reduce how much I'm smoking, right? And those habits that we have, and we have to start small. So we'll do that with movement. Start where we are, add a little, come back to, grounding, add a little more, and come back to grounding. Sound good? If you're watching live and, maybe you're having lunch, or maybe you're like, right now, I just want to sit and watch and listen. I'll do this later. Please feel free. But if you would like to join me in moving, I'm going to stand. I'm going to scooch back from my computer. And we'll start in mountain pose, greeting, a simple standing posture so you can start where you are. Nothing to make complicated. If you want to stand with your feet wide or close together, if you want to have your arms by your side, hands on your hips, or you need a moment to just shake it out up into the sky, start where you are. How can you make this mountain, this moment to stand, welcoming? I'm going to rest my arms by my side. I'm just sharing from my experience. I'm just feeling into my feet. I'm allowing my mind to notice, I'm here, standing, present. I'm paying attention on purpose. Mindfulness. And then in this practice, this little mindful snack of movement, starting to add movement simply on an inhale, any amount, inhale, welcome your arms up high, whatever high means to you. And then exhale, let your arms come down. We're staying with that 2 more times. Inhale, any amount, arms reach out and up. And exhale, arms move down. Greet that one last time. Inhale. And exhale. Right. That's 3 breaths. Land with your arms by your side. Just notice from that short activity, any shift, any change. And now we're going to add an element. With an inhale, arms sweep out and up. Now as you exhale, you're going to bend your knees, bring your hands together, and set your elbows on your thighs. See this new shape. I sometimes call it like a skier squat. It's been so hot lately, I can't wait for the snow, but a little skier squat would feel good here, playing in the snow. But elbows on the thighs, palms together, gaze out in front of you. We're going to link the 2 activities together. So now press into your feet. Inhale, like, okay, I know how to do this one. Inhale. Exhale, palms come together. Elbows go to the thighs. Inhale, we repeat again. Exhale, come back in. How about 2 more? Maybe feeling a little more muscle activity, a little more energy. Nice. Meeting it just 1 more time. And then exhale. Let's stay for a bit. Elbows on your thighs. Now, we could see this pose in the landscape of adding a little more challenge, right? We're putting a little more load on the body. I'm noticing my feet, my thighs. I'm also noticing where I'm starting to sink. So if you feel a little sinking, like I'm sinking in my belly, my lower back, can you give yourself just a little oomph, a little buoyancy? Let your heart feel like it's floating up while you're anchored on your thighs. Give me 2 more breaths where you're just like, yes, I have 2 breaths. I'm alive and strong in this pose. And then when you're ready, and inhale to come up and out. Arms by your side, exhale. Now here's the piece to notice. You did something that added a little challenge, added a little more load. We can also call that stress, intentional stress here. But now also notice you're not doing that anymore. Can you indulge in the feeling of that sensation of effort draining from your thighs back down to your feet, feet to the floor? Can we indulge in moments of ease, of the non-effort? When we do put the effort in, where are we also allowing ourselves, thank you, the reward? 2 more breaths here. Notice what you notice. And now let that go. I'm going to turn to face you again. Now let's step our feet really wide. Moving into a double leg warrior. Sometimes we call this horse stance or goddess pose. But for double leg warrior, our toes are going to be turned out just a smidge. And now we're going to bend into the knees a little or a lot and let your hips just drop. Think of horse pose if you're riding a horse, right? You're just like whoop, sitting right on the horse and feeling comfortably tall through your spine. Let's reach those arms all the way out and up as we've already done. And exhale, bring it down. So again, we have something predictable, something we know. We create the habit of breathing up with the arms. Exhale with the arms. We just change the scene again. We broaden the legs. We have a new load, a new stress. But we're like, hey, within all that challenge, here I am showing up. Inhale, arms reach out and up. Exhale, arms move out and down. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Nice. Hands can come back to the hips. Straighten your legs. Bring those feet back in to resting mountain. And again, notice what you notice. This time a little shorter time to notice, but every little second is a moment to indulge in that not doing double-legged warrior. All right, from here, hands to your hips. Going into a balance pose. For balance is something great. If you can, to make a habit every day. One thing I offer you, a little recipe. Do something balancing every day. What a great habit to begin while you're brushing your teeth. A little moment while you're waiting for the water to boil. But balancing, so good for longevity as we age, getting our stability muscles turned on, and also for our nervous system, what we do and how we regulate in the waves, like riding the waves. So it's okay if you're wobbly. It's okay if you step out. That is part of the practice. That is great for growing strength and balance. So from here, hands on your hips. Put some weight into your left foot, left leg. And for a moment, just notice that left leg grow a little stronger, like it's holding you. And now with your right leg, pick up your foot any amount. Knees going to go straight forward and up any amount. And then electrify your toes like you're about to step onto something. It doesn't matter if your foot's really low, you can still dial up those toes. Now, see if you can do one breath here. We've already done this. Inhale, arms come up. I know I'm wobbling. Exhale, arms come down. Back to home base, hands on your hips. Step your right foot down. Nice, that bit of a reward, trying something, challenging, balancing, the benefit to your nervous system, your body. And now we go to the other side. Step into your right foot. Before you speed into it, notice that right leg. Feel the muscles of structure and stability holding you. And then left foot comes up. Left knee comes up any amount. And then electrify your toes. I know you probably can't see that much, but instead of my ankle just kind of drooping around, I'm just like, woo, electrified out through my foot and toes. Nice. I'm wobbling a bit. This is my more challenging side, but I'm here for it. And then I'm going to play with seeing if I can do my arms up and down. Come along with me. Let's inhale, sweep those arms out and up. And exhale, bring those arms down. Nice. Back to home base, hands at your hips. Set your left foot down. Reward yourself, even if you stepped out 100 times in that whole little bit of balancing on your right foot. You practiced, you explored it, and here you are, home base. Re-greet your mountain pose. Settling weight into your feet. Feeling the energy of your legs, that muscle quality. Allowing your spine to feel comfortably tall, nothing to make rigid. You're just here for yourself, this time of care. And if you notice your shoulders, sensation around your shoulder blades, if they do feel like they're kind of creeping up or holding on to a 100-pound weight, can you let the weight go for just a moment? Let your shoulders release, even let your hands go so soft. They're so soft, they do not need to pick up any weight or hold any weight. We'll be here 3 more breaths. Just pause this mountain for you. Lovely. Let's take one more inhale. Circle those arms out and up. Exhale, release, let it go. Gratitude for your time of movement. Gratitude for sharing this practice with me. Laurel, you're welcome to take a seat now if you'd like.
Yes. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, thank you. And now that Heidi has led us into this quieting our nervous system, this sense of groundedness, connected to the earth, connected to our body, not floating heads, but really embodied. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, because this is so important to changing habits, because just even thinking about changing a habit can be anxiety producing. Like, oh no, how do I do that? And I don't want to do that, but I do. I do really want to do that. But this served a purpose. Again, there's a meaning behind why you started the habit. So to validate that and go, okay, I did want to do that, but now I don't. And it's really, really hard to change. Yes, it is. And that's okay. You know, kind of rubbing your heart a little bit, like that's okay. Kind of like you'd pat a little child, like it's okay. It's really hard to change a habit, you know? So we're going to take our time, we're going to do baby steps, and we're going to reinforce that we're doing our best here, that we really are trying to care for ourselves. And that's a good feeling. Like I'm worth it. I'm worth caring about. Yeah, I'm worth caring about. So now let's practice. We're going to practice this S.O.B.E.R, this acronym, S-O.B.E.R. And I'd like you to pick something mild of a habit that you'd like to change. Nothing too intense, just something kind of, moderate that you'd like to change this habit. So get that in mind. Or if you don't have one that you'd like to change, just bring up a habit that you do, a natural habit, something that you always do type of thing. So you can kind of have a fuzzy gaze downward. You could close your eyes, whichever feels more comfortable. So now you've got this in mind, this habit that you're wanting to change slowly. So let's just pause. Let's just stop. Let's just take a deep breath in, hold it a little, let the exhalation be a little bit longer. And let's just take a stop, a pause, and observe. Observe, what are we thinking about this habit? What are the thoughts? Just observing with kindness and compassion and trying not to label the thoughts as good or bad. They're just thoughts. So looking at the thoughts might be saying, oh, this is going to be really hard, or I can't do this. Whatever the thoughts are, just observing. And then coming back to your breath again. And this is a process of just gently observing the thoughts. Observing, noticing. Okay. Yeah, that's a heavy thought or a light one, or that's kind of sharp or that's soft. Just observing with kindness and compassion. And gently bringing your awareness back to your breath. And with your next exhalation, allowing your shoulders and jaw to drop a little bit more. Bringing your awareness to your feet in your shoes or barefoot, wiggling your toes a bit. And imagine that your feet are connected to the earth with roots like a tree for strength and stability. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do, just being present here, observing the thoughts of changing a habit. And now let's switch our attention to our feelings, our emotions. What might be a feeling or emotion that you're sensing? And could you give it a name? Is it anxious, scary, peaceful, whatever that feeling is? And maybe where it is in the body. Is it in your belly, chest, neck, head, or somewhere else, that feeling? And just observing it also with kindness and compassion. It's not a bad feeling or a good feeling, it's just a feeling wanting to be expressed, recognized, acknowledged, validated. Of course, you're feeling that way. And when you're ready, gently guiding your awareness back to your breath again. And your feet grounded to the earth for strength and stability. And now we've moved through observation and breath, mindfulness. And now just expanding your awareness gently, almost as though you had eyes all over your head and up from a distance too, like you're looking down or looking widely, either whichever feels comfortable, kind of looking down at your world or sitting here expanding your world, kind of expanding your view. Expanding the view to take the whole view in. Take the whole view, the whole picture with kindness and compassion. Maybe of how the habit began, how you're changing or forever changing and evolving, and how you'd like to change that habit with this expansive awareness. And then when you're ready, gently coming back to your breath in your body. Again and again, coming back to your breath. And now from this state of groundedness, compassion, and kindness, you can respond. How am I going to respond to myself with this change in habit? What's a gentle way for me to respond to myself? And then visualize that as well. How you're responding to kindness, with encouraging self-talk. Like, we can do this at our own pace. We don't have to copy anyone else. We can do this at our own pace, our own way. No judgment. It's your way. It's your way. So gently again, coming back to your breath again and again. Feeling your feet grounded to the earth as though you have roots. And if your eyes are closed, to slowly open them and just notice how you're feeling. And of course, however you're feeling is okay. And to know that you can practice this for just a few minutes a day or longer. That you can practice this, coming back again and again to observing your thoughts and feelings about changing the habit and validating with kindness and compassion. Thank you all. Thank you. Heidi?
Laurel, are you going to talk about what the acronym S.O.B.E.R stands for?
Oh, yes. The stop, which is also, I say, pause to myself, stop. Observe the thoughts and the feelings with kindness. The B is breath. We're coming back again and again to our breath. Our breath helps to anchor us and helps us to calm the nervous system and to observe. And then we go to expanding our awareness. The E is expanding our awareness to take it just to see the bigger picture, of what's going on here, how this habit took root and how we're going to work with it. And then the R is responding with kindness to ourselves and others versus reacting out of fear, anxiety. Thank you. Heidi?
All right, thank you. All right, friends. Taking S.O.B.E.R into another breathing practice. This breathing practice has a tactile quality. As a movement teacher, I find for myself ways that I can embody things through big postures like we did, and then sometimes the more subtle of just dropping into feeling, noticing the breath. And then we're going to layer in a tactile quality with the hands today. This could become a habit, a helpful mindful snack that I like to do it when I start to feel kind of overwhelmed, feeling anxious. When Laurel asked, what's this new habit? Maybe a habit of starting something new, and I feel anxious in my belly. And when I do this breathing practice, for me, it does help downregulate my nervous system. This could also be something that you could do in place of something else. I'll say, if you like to take your phone to the bathroom and you want to drop that habit, you could do this practice instead. So again, letting one thing go so you can do something else. This is a finger tracing. So with your hand, either hand, one hand's going to be the tracing hand, and then the other hand is the hand you trace. Just take a moment and look at the hand you're about to trace. So I'm looking at my left hand. And using S.O.B.E.R, I just kind of stopped whatever I was doing before to notice, to observe my hand. And now knowing that I'm going to go into an intentional breathing practice, a short practice, I'm like, all right, using my breath. This is a tracing breath. So now I'm going to take the index finger of my right hand and I'm going to bring it over to the point of my wrist where my hand and wrist meet outside my thumb. And as I notice I'm breathing in, I'm going to trace up my thumb. And as I notice I'm breathing out, I'm going to trace down my thumb. From the valley, I notice I inhale, I come back up. And I exhale back down. Nice. So if you want to practice with me, if you haven't already, we're going to do this together. We're going to go all the way through. We'll do a total of 10 breaths and then all the way weave it back. Okay? So find whichever hand, right or left. Take a moment. Stop and observe. This is my hand. Allow yourself to notice body breathing. And then with your tracing finger, as you notice the next inhale, not trying to speed it up, trace up your thumb and down your thumb. Exhale. The inhale naturally begins again. You trace up your index finger and down your index finger. Exhale. And you repeat. Here's the habit, the rhythm, the repetition. Inhale up middle finger. Exhale down middle finger. Maybe watching it as you trace. Inhale up ring finger. Exhale down ring finger. Inhale, trace up the pinky. Exhale, trace all the way down to the outer wrist. And the inhale comes again, and you go back. Exhale down the pinky. Inhale up the ring finger. Exhale down the ring finger. If your mind wanders, you have tactile, the quality, the breath flows, finger tracing the finger. Exhale down the middle finger. Inhale up the index finger. Exhale down the index finger. Last breath, inhale up the thumb. Exhale, release down the thumb. Both hands, take a moment, let them pause at your legs. From focusing on that practice, that breathing practice, just let yourself expand back to the awareness of the space you're in. Expand your attention to feet on the floor. And then responding with kindness is that acknowledgement again, that bit of reward to acknowledge and recognize. Respond to you. You did that. You tried it. You tried it. You are enough. Thank you for doing that practice. Julie?
Thank you, Heidi. It's sometimes so helpful to have something really visceral to do, that you don't have to be alone with your thoughts as much. Which is great aid. So a lot of times when we think of habits, we pair that with thinking about addictions, but really almost everything we do is a habit, and it can be good, it can be bad, it could be behavior, it could be our thoughts. So Laurel was talking about the type of thoughts where we beat ourselves up. That's a habit. And so, we may find that, I know for myself, I was really someone who beat myself up a lot in my thoughts. And those thoughts still happen. And you know what I use them for? The S in sober, the stop of like, oh, there that is. It's a good trigger. It's now a helpful aid to me. I've sort of transformed that into a moment of like, oh, there that is. And then I can kind of do the sober really quickly and then kind of expand so that I'm not in my tunnel vision. So a habit is really your brain's trying to help you out. It is designed that way. Learning and thinking about a behavior takes a ton of energy. The reason why I tried that coffee machine the way I normally do 10 times was because I didn't want to take the extra energy to figure out the other ways to make coffee. And so these habits are set and forget. They're kind of locked in so you can go through the motions. If you've ever experienced yourself or you've seen some footage of people sleepwalking, they do complex behaviors. And those behaviors are typically daytime habits that, they're opening the fridge, they're pouring drinks. I saw footage of someone, they poured it in a cup that was soapy and then they drank it and had like bubbles coming out just because they're not conscious of it. We can do very complex things on autopilot, like driving, right? These habits are really down in the inner machinery of our brain that speaks a different language, so kind of using willpower and talking to ourselves doesn't necessarily work very well because it's hidden in that safe. The key is the awareness. Laurel was talking about, maybe smoking as the example of, you said it when it was like kind of cool to do it, or, it was helpful in some way. And, part of the, mindful smoking cessation programs are all about like, how does it feel right now when I smoke? And then when you do that, you open the safe back up and like, ooh, actually it doesn't feel that good. It tastes like chemicals, or it kind of stinks. There's a really great video on that. I'm not going to play it, but it's called Hacking the Brain's Reward System by Judson Brewer. It's an 8-minute video I highly recommend. It's about smoking cessation and eating and, really great material. Judson Brewer is on this study. It is comparing mindfulness training with a standard smoking cessation program. Both can be successful, but the mindfulness training works by decreasing reactivity and a whole lot of other things. Here they actually read stressful stories about people's personal lives, like they provided, like this is what's stressing me out right now. I'm worried about, my relationship or losing my job or something like that. And they're like in the in the MRI tube hearing about their own stressors. The mindfulness training reduced that amygdala reactivity, as well as other areas in that downstairs brain, the same brain that we have in common with mice, with reptiles. It's really primal. And in order to work on that, mindfulness can get access. This reduction in reactivity that came from mindfulness correlated with the success in their smoking cessation, both immediately afterwards and at follow-up, months and months later. This is a meta-analysis looking at all the different types of mindfulness training and what mechanisms they use. And I'm not, this is a really busy slide. You can pause it when you're watching this later, but there's so many different levers that mindfulness is helping you out with, from that increasing prefrontal cortex control, decreasing limbic activity, that reactivity, all the different, suite of things, from the body practices to the mindful breathing, are really helpful. That particular study has these excerpts. It's about changing your relationship to thoughts and also learning to tolerate some of the discomfort that comes from, I want to reach for that phone. I need it in the bathroom. I have to catch up on the news. Noticing the discomfort and restlessness, and as Heidi did with her practices with the yoga, let's see how it feels to hold that pose, where you're kind of wobbling a little bit. You know what, I can do it. And then kind of, as you say, indulging in that feeling of success, of reward afterwards. That's the real benefit of mindfulness practice. Awareness and acceptance versus just, I need to stop smoking. That usually never works. And acceptance is about, like, hey, it's just pragmatic. This is the thought that came up. I don't like that thought. I don't like that feeling. But there it is. And what I do next, I have some control of. And that's the awareness of linking, your body, sensations with some of those thoughts, with some of those cravings, and with the new habit and how that makes you feel. Acceptance is not like, this is just how I am. You got to deal with it. That's a misconception that sometimes happens. That's not what this is about. You now would have the discernment to say, oh, actually, now I feel like every time I reach for my phone, I actually feel worse, right? It didn't distract me. It actually got me all worked up about something. And that's an act of self-love. That's an act of self-compassion, and to others, because, then you get in a bad mood, right? So this amygdala reactivity, you have to, some of these practices can help turn that off. The compassion also, like, it's almost like something that's kind of stuck on low tier. And in compassion, you're like, oh, I really feel for this person. And then you turn it off and it goes off all the way. It helps you, like, add some grease to your emotions so they're more fluid rather than a downward spiral. If you leave the amygdala on and you get really stressed, you're beating yourself up like, oh my gosh, I've had my phone in the bathroom each time, or I've started smoking again, or whatever it is. You actually are impaired. When you're hard on yourself, you cause yourself stress. That stress releases cortisol, which diminishes your prefrontal cortex control, increases reactivity, and it's going to make it more likely that you reach for that habit to cope with that negative feeling. So that is, you're kind of beating yourself up. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, I made the cup of coffee. I have maybe, can count on my hands how many times I've ever used this pour over drip that I got from a friend. We're on a trip together, and they're like, I already have one, you keep it. And I'm like, oh, I don't use it, but sure. it was so easy. But I had to think, do I have the filters? How much water do I put on it? Is it going to spill over the top of the cup? I had to pat myself on the back and be like, yeah, I made drip over, pour over coffee. And I celebrated that moment. And it was a darn good cup of coffee. It was strong, it was good. And you saw how like animated I was, right? So this is the savoring, the indulging in the feeling that Heidi was talking about, right? You might reward yourself in other ways. Hey, I've gone, for a day without checking my phone quite as much. Go out and touch grass, go out and get a little sunshine in the morning, and then you're also checking the sleep habit box if you attended our sleep class, right? Or and you're also the sleep habit box of not having that blue light at night. So some of these things are kind of all feeding into each other. The last thing I want to say in the science is that the things that support the blue zones, the places in the world where people live the longest and the happiest, is the fact that you are surrounded by easy choices. The other people in your circle are making good choices as well. This man was diagnosed with cancer. He went to his native Icaria, Greece to die. Happens to be a blue zone. And he lived 4 more decades because he was, living a slower lifestyle. There was a lot of socialization. He was relaxed. He had a sense of purpose in working on these, family vineyards and seeing the product of his hard work. So, make a pact with other people. Maybe you join the 100 miles in 100 days, which is part of the WBU wellness. It's going to start back next year. So you've got some time. My cousins all, when they're with my aunt and uncle, when they both got COPD and my uncle passed away, they made a pact to quit smoking, and they all did it. They held each other accountable. There's 7 of them, and that sense of awareness came from knowing everybody else was doing it and other people had their back. Our classes are like that too, right? You're in this class and you're all meditating together. You're all doing yoga together. So to get at that habit box, you have to get into learning mode, get a little curious, enjoy the wins, indulge in that a bit, and know that your little chip on your shoulder negative talk is a habit too, and have a little fun with it. And don't be hard on yourself for being hard on yourself, because that was probably a habit set. So I'm going to see how many minutes. Oh, I do have a little time. So I am going to do a loving kindness compassion practice. And there's a book called Future Self, and it is about the science of our projected self in the future. It's almost, to our brain, another person. We treat our future self like another individual. And the more we treat ourselves like a different person, the more we're likely to indulge, kind of like indulge in a bad habit in a moment, or not do something we want to inculcate, like physical therapy, because I don't care about the future self as much. They're like, that's in a different part of the brain. So we are going to have a loving kindness for ourselves 5 minutes in the future. And so we're going to think about that self, and we're going to care about that, for me, Julie 5 minutes from now, Laurel 5 minutes from now, Heidi 5 minutes from now, right? Think about yourself 5 minutes from now. But first, we're going to do something that stabilizes the mind. It could be Laurel's practices that she did today with the breath, or you might do the finger tracing. You might practice how you could do like a little finger tracing underneath the table at in a conference room, right? Or in a Zoom session. You can do these things kind of incognito to give yourself an aid. So
I do that.
Nice.
Incognito, like nobody knows I'm doing that.
I love it. So let's try that habit. I'm gonna try the finger thing. I'm gonna go through just once through my 5 fingers. Okay. And feeling your feet on the ground. Sense of stability, you can evoke the fast. If you are a person of faith, it's a great time. If you're working through habits, you know that evoking faith is really powerful, or evoking a sense of purpose and love. And now thinking about yourself 5 minutes in the future. Imagine sending love to that self. You want yourself to be happy, to be healthy, to have a sense of fortitude and optimism. Imagine yourself being able to do the things you really love. Think about sending that future self strength. This could be in the form of a prayer if you're a person of faith, or it could be in a sense of, I am strong. I will be strong. I do have the ability to cope with some of the discomforts in life and push, gently maneuver through, push the bubble a little bit as I continue to grow. Ability to bounce back from inevitable mistakes, because that habit system is an ancient part of your brain. It doesn't take verbal commands very well. It understands feelings. I'm going to be gentle on myself, but yet hold myself accountable too. Think of some of the good qualities about yourself. Maybe you're a good friend or worker. You help people through your activities in the workplace or in volunteering or with your family. A sense of purpose in the world. You're there for your friends. And you're there for yourself when you enjoy moments and savor beauty. Wish that for yourself. Appreciate and have gratitude for those past good qualities and actions that you've done. Feel gratitude. Like patting yourself on the back for the times where you have resisted. Maybe saying something that might have been hurtful or reaching for a habit or starting a good one. That can still happen. And so wishing yourself these good qualities, carrying forward and growing, watering them like a plant, as Laurel sometimes says. You feel like your future self is going to have this strength, this happiness, this fortitude, lasting happiness. Feel that sense of the good kind of pride, the good kind of warranted self-satisfaction. You're thinking about yourself in a loving way. That takes bravery too. Spread that to include others. Growing that warm feeling. And now, as you come into your body, realize you're the person you've been sending the compassion to now. It's been 5 minutes. I learned this from someone who used to work in a prison system in Wisconsin. I thought it was a really neat way of doing the loving kindness practice. So as we come, feeling our feet grounded, feeling a sense of that expansion part of the sober, we're going to open up. We're actually going to end our recording so that we can have, and sorry, people who are offline, but we want to open the floor to questions. And sometimes that can be a little sensitive, and we don't want to, have that on the internet necessarily. So maybe now we could end the oh, wait, let me